Today we are talking about Hera again, because since I last talked about her, quite a few different bits of information have surfaced, and I figured it would be worth going through them with all the new additions that we have now. A few things here are probably known to most of you at this point if you're following my channel, and there are also a few things that are not known so far yet unless you've already looked into data mining. We begin with the visual design, which was teased a few days ago. First, we got a design for Hera herself, which Hi-Rez mentioned they are happy to see more feedback on. That can be seen right here. You can see that she has this rather regal clothing. It has this peacock design to it, or at least to some degree the dress has this peacock style, because that kind of ties in with her lore as well. She is rather clothed for a goddess in SMITE, and overall her style looks really cool and really fitting for how Hera is depicted in mythology as well. And I know that most feedback for her has been really positive so far as well, which goes in line with that pretty much. On a side note, there has been some talk about her dress, because the dress style is very commonly used in SMITE among a lot of gods already. Chaos pointed this out, and Kiwi the Demon made a bit of a redesign for Hera, proposing that is how she could look like in-game as well, with a different style of dress that we don't have yet. If this will make it into the game or is preferred is something that's yet to be determined. You can also let me know down in the comments which style you prefer, but at least it's there as a possible option that Hi-Rez has heard about at this point. And we know that Hi-Rez made some changes to PLA to kind of fulfill certain requests better, so it might be that this style or something in between those two styles is what we will end up with. But not only that, Hi-Rez has also teased some art for Argus, which is Hera's giant, her protector, that will be a core part of her kit. This art can be seen right here, and it's actually pretty cool. Obviously, we don't get the Argus with his thousands of eyes, and I expect that the final version might have some more eyes, because some people were complaining about this design really not having that many eyes after all. But overall, I think his style is very interesting and very contrasting to Hera as well, while also implementing some aspects of her design, as for example that green tone is the same one, and they both share these golden elements of their clothing or armor, or whichever parts basically here. There's also a description that went along with that. Hera's most loyal subject Argus will join her on the battleground. He's been tasked to protect the Queen of the Gods at all costs and will eliminate all those who stand in her way. There's some very vague speculation that we can do based on this description, being that it includes the words protect and eliminate. So it is not completely unlikely that Hera will be a guardian, with her primary tank not being herself but Argus though, or that there's some damage focus here. I would suspect from how she's designed so far that she is very likely to be more on the magical side of things. That goes in line with the fact that her design does not have a weapon at all, which is very atypical for SMITE designs. So I think the options here are rather limited. She could technically also be a summoning warrior. I don't think she will be an assassin or hunter at all, but I think it's pretty much between mage and guardian. And with that, let's go through the data mining again, as we have various new additions here. The title remains Queen of the Gods. Her passive, Minions of Hera, gets a lot more information that again I think will be split between different things. It still has stacks. We now have the confirmation that Argus is gonna be Hera's minion or pet. And these stacks apparently may affect Argus' actions. So something may be stacking, and depending on the amount of stacks here, Argus may be capable of doing more things, maybe being more tanky, maybe something that levels up as well, something along those lines. Not all too surprising here. If he plays such a major role, then he will probably have a lot of interactions with the kit as well as the passive. The passive again also makes Hera's weapon glow, which is interesting as there is a remark about a weapon here, yet at the same time in her design we can't find a weapon as mentioned before. So maybe this is something that has been taken out, or maybe we will just see a weapon for Hera later on. We also know that Hera has a polymorph effect, but that's probably related to another ability. This has the node You're a Cow Now, which is actually, when I think about it, probably the node that you get when you hover over the effect on yourself, so you probably get turned into a cow. Then the passive now also has a counter of how many minions you have spawned. So this may in some way correlate with the stacks that the ability has, or the passive has. What exactly this means and how you spawn these minions is unclear. There's a note you can spawn a new minion. Not sure if this minion is only Argus or has many different plus Argus, so we really don't know yet if Argus is the only minion she has or if there are more, maybe some other smaller minions that somehow help her. I would not be surprised if it was some additional small minions. I would be rather surprised if all of them were on the design scale of Argus, because Argus is basically like designing an entire god, especially with the similarities to Janus. You can kind of see how much work must have gone into that, and if they were to design 4 different minions, for example, that would be a ton of work. It's also unlikely that there's more than one Argus just from his mythology and the fact that it would just not fit with everything else. So maybe other small minions or maybe just some extra effects for Argus. The first ability remains the same as before, Servant's Attack, and this one will have the minion mark an enemy from a ground target. Once again, not clear if this is Argus or something else. The second ability is Forced Shapeshift. Nothing new has been added here. It is a wave effect that travels and is probably a line ability and very likely tied to the polymorph effect considering the name. So she will turn enemies into cows. Her third ability is Argus 8. Argus 8 has some extra info now. It's a circle and line ability or line ability. It has portal effects and there is a fist knockback and a punch effect as well. There's another note now just saying punch. So it's very likely that this is Argus punching an enemy and probably some additional effects on top of that. Maybe it's just a knockback, or maybe there's something that has to do with the portal as well, or maybe the portal just means that Argus appears for this ability through a portal. Hera's fourth ability also gets a little bit more information. Argus arrives, has a crash landing FX, so Argus probably crashes down. It looks like Argus is spawned with a landing attack or something like so. And it is a deployable, so you will probably be able to choose a location where it drops down. But then there's another ability, which is called Hand of God, which is strange because she already has 4 abilities. This only has as its note Impact, and what I think is that this could just be an alternative title for Argus Arrives, because Argus Arrives really doesn't sound all that special, and Hand of God, reminding us of the old ability Hand of the Gods, smashing down on the enemy with Argus, makes a lot of sense, and the hand of that particular god, in this case, or goddess rather, would be Hera. That's it we have in terms of information for Hera at this point. I will make sure to update this further as time passes and more information is added. I kind of hope that she will have more than just one minion, because I prefer a playstyle that revolves around more than just having a minion that is kind of your god instead, and you just stand in the back line. But at the same time, it would be cool to see a god that is really passive and just hangs in the back and has that minion that does all the work for them instead. And you kind of have to control the pet more than the god themselves in a way that is, I think, Abathur in Heroes of the Storm, who rarely fights himself and who himself has very weak attacks in comparison, but has other things to take control of. We will find out in due time. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this was interesting and insightful. If you're new to the channel, feel free to sub button with the bell. It really helps me out. And other than that, see you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth out.